Oh, somebody's staying in New England. Somebody is staying in New England. We'll talk about that. And by the way, did you see the show that Kyrie Irving put on last night? Did you see him? Did you see him? I know I saw him. Did you see him? Kyrie Irving. We got to talk about that. And of course, Patrick Ewing disrespected at Madison Square Garden in New York City. What the hell is this world coming to? First Takes in the house. We got some stuff to talk about.
Breaking news here on ESPN, and you just heard Stephen A. mention it. The Patriots are finalizing a one-year deal worth up to close to $14 million for Cam Newton to return to New England. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to First Take Feel Good Friday. Stephen A., Max Kellerman, I'm Molly Karen Rose. And guys, this is like a low-key big show right now. I didn't know going into this meeting we were going to have all this stuff to talk about, but we certainly do. So let's get it on a Friday. Max, I want to start with you. Was this a good move by New England?
Yes, it was, and yes, it is. Look, I thought they could maybe upgrade at quarterback from Cam. That doesn't mean Cam wasn't good. Think about it this way. Before I get into the whole analysis, Bill Belichick does not overpay for players. Stephen A., we know that. He will let guys walk because he's also the GM and he's mindful of the cap and he's not going to overpay even the quarterback. In fact, in Brady's case, as it turns out in retrospect, he didn't even pay him what he was worth. You know what he paid for Cam Newton last year? $1.75 million. And Cam didn't have a good season by starting quarterback NFL standards. But I will point out, they beat Miami first game of the season. They lost to Seattle in a game in which Cam was great. Russell Wilson was a little bit better. They lost to Seattle. They beat the Raiders. These are all quality teams. Then Cam got COVID. He missed the game. A couple of starts, he was in the COVID fog. Then they lost to Buffalo barely, right? The Cam fumble, but barely. Buffalo's an excellent team. They beat the Jets. They beat the Ravens. They lost on the road to Houston. They beat Arizona. They have a lot of quality wins with Cam as the quarterback for $1.75 million. Stephen A., Belichick don't overpay guys. He's paying Cam $14 this year. Not 1.75, 14. The value he just got from Cam, whatever you think about the season, 1.75 value. And I expect the value he's going to get out of Cam in year two ain't going to be 14. It's going to be higher. It's not going to be just a middle-class quarterback. It's going to be better. Belichick obviously likes what he saw from Cam last year. He liked the leadership, the determination. He had to like flashes of the play. And he brought it up to the media. He was singing Cam's praises before the season started. And if you think he was just whistling past the graveyard, right? He's trying to pump him up. Why would he re-sign him? You know Belichick, he'll do it on the cheap. Why would he give a guy who doesn't have promise $14 million for the season? That was Cam last year, coming off a catastrophic injury, having missed a year in a brand new system during COVID, having gotten COVID for a team who had, 9 starters opt out because of COVID to start the season. That was Cam last season. They won 7 games. Yup, this was a good deal for the Patriots.
I'm not going to say it was a bad deal for Patriots. I just think it's a bad situation for Cam because you're bereft of weapons. N'Keal Harry, Bird, Jacoby Myers, those were your leading receivers. Cam Newton, if you look at, with the exception of the previous season, Max, because he was out injured, he threw the ball less than he ever has in his career in the season. Only averaged like 24 and a half passes per game. When you can throw the football, particularly with accuracy, no coach worth his salt asks you to throw the ball that infrequently in today's National Football League. Obviously, you got Rex Burkhead and you've got, who is it, Damian Harris, and, you've got Sony Michel, and they all ran the football, and they were the 4th-ranked rushing attack in football last year. We get what they bring to the table. We understand that primarily it's about running the football. Cam Newton ran for over 550 yards himself. I think it was 592 to be exact. So when you look at it from that perspective, he can still run with the football. He can still be effective with his legs, even though he's not nearly as effective with his legs as he used to be. I'm looking at the accuracy. or lack thereof. And when I view New England, because you don't have the requisite weapons necessary, you don't have anybody on your team, Max, that you can sit up there and say, throw it to me.
Nobody.
I'm open. They have nobody like that. In other words, even when you're not open, you open because of their ability to go get the football. No. Unfortunately, because of the weapons that Cam Newton is working with, you've got to be precise. You've got to be extremely accurate. You've got to be completely in sync with the offensive coordinator and Josh McDaniels. All of those things have to come together because you're surrounded by imperfection. And because that's the reality of the situation, it's why I don't like it. It's not that I think Cam is finished. I've never been fond of his accuracy throwing the football. I'm on a record for that, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he's not a stud athlete. He is a stud athlete. He can do some things real positive for you from the quarterback position and get it done. He's no scrub, and he's a starter for various teams in the National Football League. I'm not questioning that. What I'm saying is New England is what we're talking about here. And because of the weapons that you have surrounding him, what you're asking of him, I think is too much for him. If it were another quarterback, it would be different. But when it comes to Cam, I think you're asking a lot for him because of what you're surrounding him with. And that's why I don't think it's a good situation for him or the Patriots.
All right, well, let's look at it from both points of view. You said a bunch of things there. Let's look at it, one, from Cam's point of view. No, he doesn't have receivers. We know they are, as you would say, bereft of weapons,
yes.
Right? And Tom Brady just showed, no, he wasn't slipping so much as the Patriots gave him nothing to work with on offense. That may be true. But if that's the way your team is constructed, how do you plan on winning games? Because remember, Stephen A., after everything I just said, losing Tom Brady, losing all those guys off the defense to start the season, then Gilmore got hurt, by the way, missed some games. Zero offensive weapons. Cam off an injury. All that. COVID, the whole thing. They won 7 games.
Right.
And I told you some of the names of the team. Miami, the Raiders, Arizona, the Ravens.
Yeah, Max.
They beat some good teams. So that's one. How are they going to do it? They're going to run the ball. They're going to play defense because they're going to get a lot of those guys on defense back. Okay. Now from Cam's point of view, Stephen A., Cam's not worried about his stats. He wants to lead a winning team. And he's in a position with Belichick, obviously, where he feels like they can win games and make the playoffs. If Cam's numbers aren't good, but they win 10 games and make the playoffs, you think Cam's sweating that because he didn't have the receivers? However you win, you win.
Well, first of all, I don't think they will win. The 7-9 that you're talking about. Last time I checked, when we talk about Bill Belichick, we talk Super Bowls. They ain't got a snowball's chance in hell of winning the Super Bowl with Cam Newton at the quarterback with the weapons that they have surrounding him. It ain't gonna happen. You can snatch that dream away. Matter of fact, they wouldn't even get to the playoffs because I don't see them being better than Miami or Buffalo. And when you talk about their big wins, let's talk about some of their losses. They lost to the Denver Broncos. They lost to an injury-riddled San Francisco 49ers team. They lost to the Houston Texans. So let's not forget the losses that they suffered from and that they incurred as well. So we've got to take that into consideration. And again, I know that you had a whole bunch of dudes that elected to opt out and not play last year. So their defense would elevate exponentially. We get all of that. And as a result, that could potentially win you some games. But ultimately, in the end, when you're talking about Cam Newton and his abilities or whatever it is that he is lacking, Max, don't we have an obligation in the interest of fairness to him to look at the fact that a quarterback is not successful throwing the football to himself? He's got to have people to throw the football to. And when we look at the New England Patriots, there's nothing to knock our socks off, which gets us to the GM that is Bill Belichick. I will never question the greatness of Bill Belichick, the coach. It is, to me, it's sacrilegious. There's no reason to do it. His resume speaks for itself. But as an executive, in terms of putting talent around you, it's a question mark. I'm sorry, Molly. Go ahead.
Can I just ask one quick question? Stephen A., does this show you, like what Max said, though, that Bill Belichick does believe in Cam Newton? Or do you think he's just throwing another year away?
Molly, if you remember, we talked about this when Cam was struggling and Bill Belichick benched him one game and I came on First Take the next day and you saw Bill Belichick go over there, pat him on the knee, talk to him. We've never seen Bill Belichick appear to be so affectionate and so comforting to a
Why do you think that is?
During a game. And because he knew that there was
and he likes Cam.
He likes him.
He likes what Cam brings to the team.
We're not debating that.
I want to address
you know we're not debating that.
Yeah, right. Okay. But the fact that Belichick likes what Cam brings to the team tells me something. I want to talk about something you said. They lost 7 games. And they fell apart at the end of the season. But really, the losses to Denver and San Francisco, we were even talking about it at the time because he missed the KC game with COVID, right? And we're like, it feels like he's in that COVID fog.
And we were debating how much of a rippling effect it had.
Then a couple weeks later, he came out and said it. He was like, yeah, those. So I think that explains those games, the Denver and San Francisco games. The Houston loss was on the road. They were a bad road team. They're going to have to learn. Cam's going to have to learn to win on the road. They were a good home team, a bad road team.
He's going to have to learn to win on the road. He's in his 10th year.
But it's with a new franchise, new system, often injury, with a depleted roster, having gotten COVID. Don't forget, they couldn't even practice because the facilities were shut down.
All we're saying is, Max, here's what it comes down to, man. Cam Newton remaining on the New England Patriots. Is it wowing any of us? No.
Well, okay.
No.
Let me just say this.
It is not. I love Cam, but I wish he was in a better offensive situation than New England.
I think he's a placeholder in New England. I think Belichick's rolling the dice, seeing, is he going to turn back into something he was?
Okay.
Or does he bide me some